Hi guys, Jacob here, and today I'm going to be doing a very quick, very small book haul. I just picked up some new stuff and I thought it'd be neat to show you guys. First up are 4 books I found on vacation. I went to Currituck, North Carolina with some friends, which is a weird area. Well, not really weird, it's just a very small area off the sound side of Nag's Head. I've been to Nag's Head, I've never been to the sound side before. However, apparently it is an amazing place to find, hard to find, horror and sword and sorcery and even science fiction paperbacks. There was a lot of stuff on the shelves there that I did not pick up. If you're down in that area, I highly recommend checking out a bookstore called Read 'em and Weep, which A, has an amazing name, and B, has an amazing selection of used books. I mean, I picked up right off the bat Hobgoblin by John Coyne, which, I mean, it's got the little cover with the inside thingy. It's cool. I've been looking for this book for a while. I like very much like horror books that are kind of based off the Satanic Panic and you know, all the stuff that was going on with Dungeons and Dragons in the 80s and 90s, where people were basically demonizing it. From what I understand, this is basically a horror version of Mazes and Monsters, which, if you haven't seen it, is a really wild Tom Hanks movie. I won't spoil it for you. Well, I guess I will, a bit. Tom Hanks basically goes insane and starts believing that his LARP, or live action role playing, is now real life and shenanigans. This, from my understanding, is very different. On the back it says, Scott Gardner is weird. He thinks the monsters in his fantasy game are real. He thinks he sees hobgoblins at the castle where his mother works. He thinks his girlfriend is being stalked by the Black Annis because of what happened to her in the graveyard. He thinks his high school is filled with blood-spewing gorfs. Whatever a gorf is, I don't know. I've played D&D for most of my life, still don't know what a gorf is, but I'm excited to find out. And flesh-hungry ground bats from the darkness of Irish legend. Scott Gardner is right, so he's throwing the biggest party of the year on Halloween, which seems like a terrible time to try to confront monsters, but what do I know? Then next up, I have Fritz Lieber's Swords in the Mist. This is basically more stories of, I'm going to try to pronounce his name, I'm sure I always mess it up, but Farid, F-A-F-H-R-D, and the Grey Mouser from the back alleys of Lankmar. This is just a really cool cover. I've been tracking down some of Fritz Lieber's other, basically, stories, as I've been reading a lot more sword and sorcery this year. So it was kind of neat to find one down there. I think I paid $3 for it, which is awesome. Now, I was really excited to find a copy of this. This is the Auctioneer. If you're familiar at all with Paperbacks from Hell, Grady Hendrix talks about this book a lot, as it's, in his words, basically kind of the pinnacle of folk horror, especially for like the 70s. As I have been actually reading the book this year, but I've been reading the ebook version put out by Valancourt Books, which, if you want to get a copy of this, I highly recommend checking out their stuff, because they are putting a lot of these older horror paperbacks back in print, which is awesome. I've been collecting horror paperbacks for quite some time, and I've never actually run into an old copy of this out in the wild. I have seen them online, but usually the prices are pretty high. I think the lowest I've seen this on like eBay or Etsy is about $20. And that might be different now. I don't know. I haven't actually checked in a while. I know the hardcover copies can go anywhere from like 50, 60 to even 100. Which seems like a lot, at least to me, because I kind of do books in quantity. If you haven't been able to tell from some of the videos I put up, and usually when I do read them, I'll either resell it or I will give it to somebody. So I'm never really in the market to pay that much for books. I got this for $2 in Currituck at a thrift store that I believe was run by a local church. They did not understand why I was so excited to pick up a book that had been sitting there for, in their words, quite some time. Next up is another book that is hard to find. I do believe you can get ebooks of it on Amazon now, but that is Of course, Swan Song by Robert McCammon. I've been trying to find a paperback of this for a while because I love that cover. I've seen this talked about a lot. I think it came out a little before The Stand. I'm sure a lot of Stephen King fans will correct me if I'm wrong, but I hear it compared to The Stand a lot, and I did enjoy The Stand, so I'm definitely excited to read Robert McCammon's take on the end of the world. It is hefty, so it will be quite some time before I am back to you guys with a review. And then next up are 5 books, because I am reading Sword and Sorcery. I've been getting really into DMR books, who basically put out newer Sword and Sorcery as well as Sword and Sorcery collections. And I also, if you can't tell from a lot of these videos, I like a lot of classic science fiction and fantasy and horror and stuff like that. And they do reprint collections that have beautiful covers and look cool on shelves. First up, I have The Eye of Sanu by Schuyler Hernstrom. I don't know if I pronounced that wrong or right. A lot of these seem to be, I mean, I love illustrated covers, so beautiful, but back to what I was saying, a lot of these seem to be like short story collections where they've contacted people who were writing Sword and Sorcery, I would imagine, and having them publish across various magazines and then just getting a collected edition, which I think is a really cool thing to do because I don't read a lot of short story magazines. I mean, I will read them occasionally, but that being said, I do love anthologies, so I will read those, and I love short story collections. So I'm much more likely to read those, and I'm sure it makes the authors much more money as well. Next up is Worlds Beyond Worlds, the short fiction of John R. Fultz, and another cool cover of a guy with a bunch of different planets behind him holding someone's head riding a horse with a sword. Just love these painted covers. I really wish people would go back to that. Next up is Prehistoric Adventures. This seems to be a collection of short stories or older short stories by various authors, and then maybe even some new ones. I'm not really sure, but I know it has Spear and Fang by Robert E. Howard, Stories of the Stone Age by H.G. Wells, Dinosaur Destroyer by Arthur Petticolas, With Weapons in Stone by C.M. Eddy Jr., and Arla of the Caves by C.M. Eddy Jr. I love this cover. Once again, I love painted covers. And also, I love anything involving people fighting dinosaurs. I always have. I mean, you saw how excited I got about Carnosaur. I was very much a Jurassic Park kid growing up. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. There's just something cool about people fighting giant dinosaurs. Next up is The Godblade by J. Christopher Tarpey? Yeah. Once again, another beautiful painted cover. This one gives me some very definite cosmic horror vibes. You get, I don't know if you guys can really see it, but it's, you know, kind of like an eldritch insect creature with tentacles being ridden by what's probably some sort of skeletal wizard. Either way, it looks very cool. And then the one I've already started reading is by D.M. Ritzlin, and that's Necromancy in Nilstria. And, I mean, barbarian fighting skeletons. I don't know what gets more Sword and Sorcery than that. And last up in this mini haul is Paperbacks at War, because I am a huge nerd when it comes to paperbacks and books and pulp fiction. I have now started collecting books that talk about them. So this basically just talks about paperbacks featuring war, in which there was a lot of them. I might even do reviews if I can track some of them down. Obviously not like I'm doing paperbacks from hell and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this short but sweet book haul. Anything else you want to talk about book-wise, or correct me about Robert McCammon, please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.